So then, Poppies, the inspiration behind the lyrics, the meaning behind the lyrics. Now, it's all part of the fun, really, isn't it, when you listen to songs, to try and understand the lyrics or what behind them. And to be honest, you know, some songs I really don't listen to the lyrics, and other songs I really do. And a lot of people say, well, no one listens to the lyrics, why bother? And that, to a certain extent, that's true. It's not necessarily the lyrics which really people are listening to. It's probably the tone of those lyrics, how they're delivered, what they're saying. So in effect, the wordplay, although you maybe not listen to the literal meaning of the words, the intonation is still important, has an effect. So it's a bit naive to say that lyrics don't matter, because of course they do. And ultimately, why wouldn't you? You know, if it's effectively if the lyrical melody is going to be the same whether you've got good or bad lyrics, why not aim for good lyrics? Because there might be someone who, for them, is the difference between them liking the song or not. So anyway, but ultimately doing it because I would prefer to write better lyrics, and lyrics that kind of mean something to me, obviously. So what is it about? It's about, well, war. It's about the dangers of war and how we shouldn't forget the lessons of the past. Now, I'm just saying this all. This is ultimately, you can interpret it any way you like, and that's the beauty. And a lot of what I say, in hindsight, probably isn't necessarily what it's about. It's probably about, you know, it's probably more likely to do with something like repressed childhood anger. But we won't get into that. So the song was, as I said before, it was written, the first bit was written on the 11th of November. And that was just a pure coincidence. I came up with this song on the 11th of November. So, or the melody for it anyway. So I thought, well, hold on. I love history. I feel quite strongly about society today, and you know how we're potentially forgetting the lessons of the past, or we need to be at least wary of them. Why not write a song about that? So it tells the story of a young lad who effectively, I'm kind of in the first person in the first verse, so it's as if it's me, and then second verse it's third person. And then third verse, he, you know, meets his end, and there's references to the First World War throughout the song. So I also looked up a little bit of war poetry and just get some like the First World War poets, Wilfred Owen, Siegfried Sassoon. I can't remember the other ones now. Well, Wasteland, which was T.S. Eliot, which was a kind of war, because that's references. So, looking out to the wasteland, poppies in the wind did blow. Poppies, obviously, being the symbol for it, and then the desolation. In this field of desolation, I can't remember which poet that was from, but it was definitely a word I saw. Maybe that could be a little task for someone. Go and find out which poem that was. And then, obviously, references in the song to Flanders Field in the First World War, which was notorious for just, you know, utter devastation. And the letter came with news of service, i.e., a conscription letter being called to arms, which, we need to be thankful for that we don't have at the moment. That people, at least if you're in the army, it's a voluntary thing, I believe. Well, in the UK, I'm not even sure about the US, but obviously there are still countries like, obviously South Korea and Israel where military service is compulsory for men, I believe. So the song is about, let's not forget about the sacrifices that were made in the past for the sake of the freedoms that we experience, and I think sometimes take for granted, in particularly the West. And the most central of those freedoms is freedom of speech, which I feel like is becoming under threat, very kind of subversively. There are noises and voices which are being silenced through the media, and regardless of, you know, obviously if you're saying stuff that's as a hate crime, then you need to get punished for that. But anything else, I feel should go, and I feel, you know, sorry, as in it should be allowed, even if you don't agree with it. Then, you know, because if you silence it, if it's silenced, you know, and people getting taken off Facebook and removed from social media and all that, and I know they're private companies, but at the end of the day, it's still they're massive parts of our lives, and if they're being silenced, people being silenced, however extreme they are, whether you believe it, you agree with them or not, if they're not committing a crime, then they should be able to speak. Because if you silence them, they're just going to turn into absolute nutters, and they're just going to act on it. Silencing them won't change how they feel. It'll probably make them worse, in my opinion. So I think that was kind of the subtext for the song, but ultimately it's about, yeah, learning the lessons of not forgetting the past, and not learning and making sure we learn from the lessons, and where narrow-minded viewpoints and not allowing other people to speak their opinion and dismissing their opinion, and where that can lead, because that's ultimately how totalitarian states, both in Germany and in Russia, in the 20th century developed. You know, you weren't allowed to speak freely. You either kind of fit in or you didn't. So that is the lyrical inspiration for the song. So yeah, it's not a love song, let's put it like that, or a breakup song. Which is what's it kind of inspired in the past. But I think, but it also I wanted to, the tone of the song. What I've always wanted to explore was like not only is it kind of country sounding, but I'm singing in an English accent, so that I think is quite unique. And and it's not like it gets my goat when singers and songwriters just, you know, they'll sing in, if they're English, or they're singing like an accent which isn't reflective of who they are, where they're from, who they are, how they speak. And I love it. You know, I love a bit of Americana, a bit of country music. Went to see Creedence Clearwater Revival a few months ago, and I think that probably played a part, because the beat of my song is very like a I see a bad moon rising. Which is ironic. I didn't even think of that. I see a bad moon rising. It's like a warning in the 60s for like Vietnam War. I see a bad moon rising. But it's the same beat. That's interesting. See, it's just a little bit of discovery, just in conversation with myself. Anyway, so I always do that after a cracking joke, which I think is funny. I get Anyway, so yeah, that was a big thing, was to write a song which is kind of country sounding but with an English accent, but also to where am I going with this? To have like a really upbeat, kind of like almost jolly sounding song, but with lyrics which you would not expect from it. It's like, it's a guy basically going, you know, being called up to war and not coming back, and it's about the lessons we need to learn from that. But I love that. I love kind of playing with that idea, because you've got that a lot in songs like that completely get misrepresented. You know, like when Reagan used "Born in the USA," Bruce Springsteen's "Born in the USA" for his presidential campaign, and it was all supposedly, you know, about he used it because he thought it was a patriotic song. Well, yeah, it sounds like it. And obviously Bruce is kind of playing on that theme. But if you listen to the lyrics, it's all about a guy that comes back from Vietnam and is disenfranchised and is now living the supposed American dream, which involves, you know, a not great life. Well, that's how I interpreted it. I think that's probably near enough. But the point is that the tone and the song gets completely misinterpreted. And if you've listened this far, maybe you won't then misinterpret it, but even if you did, that's fine. And it's not even a question of misinterpreting, is it? It's however you interpret it is how you interpret it. Right, well, as much as I could ramble on about that all day, I'm going to leave it, but, you know, gentlemen, you can't find this is a war room. Is that relevant? Is that relevant? That's the post in the background? Don't know. Anyway, peace.